Welcome, Frog fans, to Postgame Beers podcast. We are your Lupton Drinking Club. I'm Kyle Malloy at YellMK on Twitter. We have our Master of Activities, Jacob Sailors at JD Sailors, in addition to the best producer in the business, Crazy Ray Cartwright. We have our horse, Garrett Evans. We are lacking tonight the Sultan of San Martin Guerrero. I hear he's throwing up on the toilet, but I need to go check just to make sure. Those are
I think it's coming out both ends.
Those are sounds I'm hearing in the background. So I'm going to go check on him during our break. But just so you all know, T's and P's for our guy.
Martin is in Mexico, so you know what that means.
Never eat street tacos from Mexico.
Yeah, that.
If your stomach ain't built for it.
This podcast brought to you by Hell's Half Acre Stadium Goods. We have some good friends over at Hell's Half Acre, and we'll talk about them a little bit later. But thank you, Stephen, for continuing to sponsor us. Gentlemen, a big loss tonight at Cincinnati for TCU basketball. That actually looked like a fun place to be outside of the fact that everyone was wearing black and red.
You know,
do y'all think it's weird that we play Cincinnati?
How so, Ray?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't feel like a normal, it just doesn't feel like a conference game.
Yeah, you're getting used to. It was kind of cool though that they had they were using the flying T for our logo tonight on their jumbotron. That was kind of nifty.
So going to TCU from 2001 to 2005, they were a conference member. So it feels very comfortable to me. Conference USA.
CUSA, baby.
I'm dating myself, but you know. It just feels like we're back home, baby.
I said going into this one, it was about as evenly matched of a game as you can have in the conference. And I was really looking forward to it because, you know, coming off the big win against Houston and just kind of wanted to see, like, is this like actually a good team? Or is it just like in years past where they're good enough to be, you know, in the mix, on the bubble, beat some teams they're probably not supposed to beat, and then, you know, lose. This wasn't really a game they were supposed to win, but it just kind of sucks coming after that Houston game to lose this one when you had full control of the game going in the last 3 minutes, and then you get one bucket down the stretch, and you barely get any stops, you know, and you find yourself in overtime where it's a coin flip. And I just really would love to see this team take the next step and not be a team that's just fighting on the bubble because they're just every game's a coin flip in conference. I'd like to see them build some sustainable momentum.
I'd like to see this team make a fucking free throw. That's what I'd like to see.
When you have a team that doesn't really shoot well, but, you know, they're really tough on defense and they rebound, I guess part of that's going to be you're going to miss free throws. Anyway.
They came out shooting well.
It's still – well, Tennyson's shooting well, and they shot really well against Houston, but I don't think that's how the team is built. I mean, they didn't make any shots down the stretch tonight outside of that Tennyson three. But it's still pretty early in the schedule. I mean, this loss isn't going to make or break anything, but it just sucks that they couldn't build off the Houston win.
Going back to what you said, Jacob, they shouldn't have won this game. I think they should. Oh,
no. Sorry. What I meant was it's not a game that you're like, you just got to win this game. Like Cincinnati and TCU are about as even as you can be as far as all the advanced metrics go. Like, I don't even know if they're really advanced metrics because like the net ratings, that's what the committee primarily uses, and say Ken Palm and all that. They're like right there with each other as far as those rankings go. And that's why I was getting annoyed. Like, can Cincinnati pull off the upset? I mean, what was even the line going in?
Was Cincinnati minus 2.5?
Exactly. So, I mean, we got to stop looking at the AP poll as like the measure of a team. It's just not. There's too much information out there to be using the AP poll as your measure.
Saw something today about the Big 12 teams kind of going into the rest of the season, and basically all of them have, you know, one of the hardest remaining, you know, schedules until they finish and go into the Big 12 championship. So, I mean, it's a meat grinder. Just every week they're playing two teams that are one of them's ranked and one of them's just outside the top 25, you know.
Yeah, I think I looked at it today, and I think they only have 3 games left on their schedule where they're not playing a top 100 net rating team, and most that's why
you go easy in the preseason or the you know before pre-conference play.
I mean,
apparently,
yeah, sure, but my beef for that is like you get boring basketball for 2 months.
Yeah.
So,
To quote our late, great, good friend Martin, RIP, Big
Montezuma's
12
revenge.
basketball.
Montezuma's
Big 12
not
revenge.
basketball is what the SEC football thinks it is.
yeah.
A lot of truth to that.
Hey, by the way, great job on the Scout interview, guys. I really enjoyed hearing that. Sad I couldn't be here for it.
Yeah, he was awesome to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And
That was a lot of fun.
it was nice for Kelsey to chime in, watching from the couch, asking some questions. So thanks to him and his better half. That was great.
Yeah, we got quite the live crowd tonight, guys. So with some Bearcat fans in the chat.
Nuh-uh.
So
Let's go.
Yeah.
we'll highlight this one from our friends at the Beer Cats. Go check out their podcast. TCU looked like the most complete team we played this season. I mean, when Tennyson's hitting threes, that's my biggest beef with this team is shooting for the most part, creating half court offense. When you got a machine gun like Tennyson, it changes things, but for the most part, it's a team that relies on energy, defense, and rebounding, which can be frustrating to watch when they're bricking shots all the time. But I like this team more than most TCU teams. I'll say that.
It is a lot more fun. I agree with that. To the Beer Cats, I don't remember the last time TCU has ever gotten the court stormed on them. So you know what? I'll take that as a win tonight. Whatever.
Oh, did they really? I turned it off before.
Yeah.
Did they really?
I turned it off as soon as they made it.
Well, I mean, I'm team storm the court. I don't care what.
Oh no, I'm not making fun. I have no hate or disregard for the Bearcats at all. I love it. The fact that we got the stork cormed on us, I accept that as a win. I'm sorry.
Dude, people are fired up to talk about basketball, and I would love to go deeper on that. It's just not quite what we are modeled to do.
Hey, I will ask y'all, how annoyed do y'all get by officiating?
If it's every game, like at some point it becomes your fault if you're getting mad about it.
I feel like I understand basketball officiating less than I do baseball and football, like to multiple degrees. So I see people getting very upset, and then I want to be like, yeah, I'm mad too, but I'm not sure why.
Dude, I think a lot of it has to do with how consequential a call in basketball can be. You know what I mean? So there's just more emotion built into refereeing in basketball than probably any other sport.
How long did y'all play basketball in your development?
I played through 8th grade before baseball became a full-time job.
I don't think I ever once played basketball, youth league. Definitely not middle school, definitely not high school, and definitely not at TCU.
Not at TCU, right? Dang. You could have caught me at the YMCA in 3rd grade balling.
I loved playing basketball, man, especially once I got older and more coordinated. I started playing in 4th or 5th grade, and it was just a chore to dribble the ball. But middle school basketball, you know what? I played some YMCA ball through my freshman year in high school. And that's when I could shoot threes. So that was fun.
Garrett?
Now I would also go to Stovall Park in Arlington, Texas and play pickup games. Shout out Stovall.
Heck yeah, man. No, the YMCA was the jam in 3rd, maybe 4th grade. The good old T-shirt under the jersey, pizza after the games. It was an absolute time.
My problem was I was tall, and so everyone asked me if I played basketball, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm terrible at basketball."
Dude, you're normal life tall. You're not basketball tall.
Completely correct. For the middle of Kansas, we're like, "Wow, 6'1"? That's really tall."
You're like, all right. If I like a girl, I can get her tall.
Yeah, right.
He's I don't have to have a personality tall.
Shout out to not having a personality.
All right. Well, it seems like we could easily go into a basketball post-game show, but that's really not why we're here, right?
I think we've hit the extent of our basketball knowledge, so that's where we're going to move into baseball.
Kind of capped.
Your preseason 5th-ranked Horned Frogs, according to D1 Baseball. We've got a couple breakdowns tonight. Not a lot, just a couple. We're gonna talk about Texas Tech. we're going to talk about Oklahoma. Martin, like we said, he might be dead. We'll see. Based on the next, if he shows up in the next podcast, you will know he's alive. If not, we will send out our condolences to his family.
Everyone tweet him right now. R.I.P.
All right, Garrett, I think we're going to start with you. We've got the University of Oklahoma. What does their baseball team look like? What did they look like last year? Let's figure it out. Go for it.
Yeah, so last year's Oklahoma, disappointing. There's really no other way to kind of put it for them. Were they the last team to get into the postseason or the second to last team? I can't remember. It was super close. They probably didn't belong, and they were kind of riding the coattails of past success. Kind of put that in perspective, last year, they were number 151 nationally in team ERA. That was a 5.95. So super not good. That was kind of the consistent problem throughout the year for them last season was their pitching. They did still go to regional last year, and they lost to East Carolina, and that was it for them. That was it for them for last season. This year will be Skip's 7th year with the club, and he really, it seems like Oklahoma has done everything they needed to do this offseason to amend the issues of last year. They look like they're putting themselves in a position to be a lot more competitive, specifically around their pitching woes of last year. And they've also gotten themselves a really challenging schedule for this year as well. So let's see here. Yeah, so 13 of their opponents were postseason teams last year on this year's schedule. That includes Tennessee, that includes us, Oral Roberts, Oregon, Texas. And then, so they have 23 total games, which would be made up of 10 different opponents who ended last year ranked in the top 50 for RPI. So they're putting themselves in a good position to play a lot of quality baseball. The trick for them is going to be if the pieces can actually kind of come together better this year for them, mainly with their pitching problems. Brought in a new coach this year. We've got a new assistant / recruiting coordinator in Coach Todd Butler. He has been at McNeese prior to. He spent 3 years as a senior associate athletic director. He's got a bunch of baseball experience. He has 17 years of experience, different programs, some SEC stints around that conference. And then for their returning talent, they're actually returning 17 guys from last year's team. So that would be, see some of the biggest names there that are going to be on this year's team as well. For their outfielders, Kendall Pettis is back. You could probably look for a pretty decent season from him this year. A really big name for them that's also back this year in the outfield is John Spikerman. He's probably the kind of dude you'd anticipate being a real leader in that clubhouse this year. He was a Big 12 honorable mention last season. If he can stay healthy, he has the opportunity to steal a lot of bags again, like he did last year. Potentially be a little bit of a power bat. Speaking of power bats, Bryson Madron, he's back as well. And that dude can swing the bat, hits with a lot of power. Infielders that are back, Rocco Garces, Gongora, he is. And then another big name here would be Jackson DeClaus. He can make a big leap forward this year for the Sooners. AMAC, Anthony McKenzie is back. He tailed off a little bit last year, but that guy can be a dog. He has a lot of power as well. Their Big 12 all-freshman team last year, catcher. He'll be making a return this season, Easton Carmichael. Mm-hmm. Looking at the pitching staff, they've got a lot of guys coming back. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different dudes coming back to pitch this year. Biggest names, to keep in mind for this season are, I guess, James Hitt, wherever he's going by today. He's pitching this year. He could potentially be the ace of this ball club, and I think kind of the cornerstone of what they're going to do with this pitching staff, and if they're going to be any good, is how Hitt is able to perform. Same with Will Karsten. He's coming back this year. He'll probably be a weekend guy, probably some type of inning eater for them. But what's more fun, I think, for if you're an OU fan, for their pitching staff, is how they've shored it up through the folks they've brought in this year. Biggest names to keep in mind for them are a couple of dudes here. One of them is Austin Henry, Wichita State. So there's 2 Wichita State kids. I noticed it's kind of been a recurring theme. So we've been doing these previews is Wichita State kids that are supposed to make impacts in the Big 12.
Yeah,
That
their
is
whole
pretty
team left.
wild. Like this whole
It's
team
insane,
left.
Dude,
to go to the
they
Big
lost
12?
over 20 guys last year.
Oh my! Did they lose the coach?
Yeah, the coach got fired and everybody left.
And they're all supposedly going to be difference makers, which is kind of crazy. This Austin Henry kid, he was registered at Wichita State, so we haven't even seen him play yet.
I remember him.
But he was the number 1 player according to Perfect Game from his state of South Dakota going into college. He was number 72 ranked recruit nationally and the 20th right-handed pitcher. So of everyone they're bringing into this staff, that guy probably has the highest upside. Yet to be seen if that pans out. Jason Miner as well from Wichita State is now a Sooner. They've actually already seen him. They played him last year. He had 5 2/3 innings of work, allowing 0 runs against last year's Sooner team. 2 other pitchers that are super interesting, in my opinion, coming in are these 2 dudes from Northwest Florida State College. And they're actually twins. It's Kyson and Malachi Witherspoon. Both of those dudes appear to be pretty good. They throw low to mid 90s fastballs. They have an opportunity to compete for the rotation as well on the weekend. Another guy who's I thought was kind of interesting, I didn't realize transferred to Oklahoma, is Girton out of Texas Tech, Braden Girton. He is now a Sooner. So I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of him this season up in Oklahoma. And so far as bats that they brought in, they actually did have 2 new additions I think will make a big difference. One of their biggest issues last year was not necessarily being able to hit for power all the time. These 2 kids will probably be able to kind of help that happen for them in the middle of the lineup. One of the guys' name is Carter Frederick. He's a junior college guy. He's 6'4", big guy. He was batting .493 with 14 home runs last year. Probably in middle of the order, dude. He'll be a hoss if he's able to kind of reproduce what he was doing at JUCO. And the other one is from Washington. His name's Michael Snyder. He's also a 6'3", huge 230-pound infielder. Dude who can hit for power. Also draws a lot of walks as well. So that's kind of where we stand with Oklahoma. The staff could be very good, or it could be very middling again. And they could have filled some holes in finding some more firepower in that lineup. Maybe we'll hit some more dongs. But all in all, in my opinion, it looks like it looks like Skip was able to play the portal really well. Was able to fill a lot of holes. I wouldn't necessarily say they're going to be a contender this year, but I think they're going to be fun to watch.
I think Dark Horse would describe them well.
Yeah, Dark Horse would be a perfect way to describe this team.
Looking back at this team last year, it's almost they remind me a lot of this year's TCU football team. You know how we always said they're good enough to beat anyone, but weird enough to lose to anyone.
I would agree with that. I think it's another kind of comp is how we were so high on this year's team. And I think they are too. They're so high on this team, but they don't know what they've got, especially with this pitching staff. So kind of like how we were able to start, understanding this team a little more after our Colorado game this past football season. I think that's where OU is going to be after they start conference play.
Yeah, if they can figure out anything on the mound, like Jackson says here, surely they can't pitch worse.
Exactly.
I mean,
they can't be worse than they were last year. So, and that's
well,
why I think
if
all
that's
these
true,
can really help.
If they get any help from pitching, then this is a regional team for sure, I think, because you look at their lineup with all the guys they're returning and bringing back. Last year they were really balanced. They didn't really have any weak spots in the lineup, not necessarily many superstars, but they were tough outs. Like I remember the series we played against them. We took the first game pretty easily, and then we had to scrap for the next two, end up losing 2 out of 3. And, just looking at their schedule, they lose a series to Baylor, then they go to Austin and sweep Texas. Then they lose a series to K-State. They split a series with Stanford, which that's fine. But then, they lose a series to Texas Tech, and they just had so many opportunities to sneak into a tournament and do damage. Kind of like, was it 2 years ago they went to Omaha? That's what they did. They snuck in.
Went to Omaha.
They went to the national championship series.
And I think that's why I think that's probably the only reason they got into the tournament this year was because of the national championship. They clearly.
That was out of nowhere, man. I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So I completely forgot they made the regional last year. I thought they got left out, but that's my bad. But it's not my team to research. But yeah, they got beat by ECU twice.
So Frogs get them early. The second weekend of March, it looks like, after Kansas, the second Big 12 conference, I guess, weekend. They host them in Fort Worth. So that should be, looking right now, that should be a win, right? We got to win 2 of 3 of those games.
I think every conference home series should be a win.
I agree.
2 of 3.
Yeah, every one of them should be a win. I think this realistically, not only should it be, I think it will be.
Yeah, Ray, can I ask you a question?
Sorry, real quick. I just want to say real quick, I really like that we're getting teams like OU and K-State at home.
Mm-hmm.
When you play Texas, it's going to be tough whether you're home or on the road, right? But it's these dark horse teams that if you can catch them, in Lupton, it can change your season. I remember last year when, we lost a series in Norman, we were pretty down on the TCU team. So, when the schedule kind of flips over and you're getting these, scrappy dark horses at home, this thing's setting up pretty well for TCU.
Yeah.
I want to revisit your answer, Ray, to every home series should be a win. Is that based on this year's team and the preseason rankings, or do you feel like that for forever Big 12 play? Just same as basketball. Win your home series, and if you win 1 of 3 in your away series, you're good to go.
With TCU's standards and expectations, I kind of think that should be the expectation every year.
I don't think all road series is good with 1 of 3, MK.
We should pick
up. Yeah, if you're going to
something.
Kansas,
Baylor,
you should be able to.
Cincinnati,
you should be able to take 2
some of the newer teams.
Shit, I think you got to take 2 or 3 against OU and K-State, teams like West Virginia, but sometimes we don't, and it's frustrating.
Right.
But
Austin is going to be a fun series, I think.
Yes, it will be. I'm looking forward to that one.
So who are the key losses for OU? Did you mention any departures?
I did not mention any key departures.
They don't have any. That's crazy.
Because primarily they didn't really have any that really stood out to me that much.
That was a joke, but okay.
No. That's a good answer.
No, they had that. What's that shortstop? Right? What's his name? I don't remember.
No,
was it? Shoot, who was there?
Got drafted, I think, in the last round.
Easton Carmichael?
It's not Anthony Silva, because I know that guy.
No, that's a fair answer because it's just a super balanced team.
Yeah, their biggest the majority of your big contributors are still in the lineup. I didn't really look at key guys who were gone from last season.
Are you going to cover their schedule at all? What does their schedule look like?
We can. I know I kind of touched on it insofar as it being insofar as it being a pretty competitive schedule. But we can look at it game by game if we want to.
No, not necessarily game by game,
But they did have they do have a lot of postseason teams on their schedule. So
Can we go inning by inning? I'd appreciate that for the followers.
Well,
the Volunteers, TCU, Oral Roberts, Oregon, and Texas are
That's a pretty good start.
probably their biggest matchups. And then, like I mentioned previously here, they do have 23 games against opponents that were ranked in the top 50 for RPI for this year. Let me pull that up.
Yeah, they played Ohio State last year, lost to them. They get them again in Vegas. That Shriners looks pretty fun with OU, Oregon, Tennessee.
Yeah, it does look pretty cool. I mean, they've got Oregon and Tennessee in that, which would be fun. They got a game with Nebraska. It's a fun little schedule for them and pretty challenging. So if they can win those games,
they have 4 against Wright State, who I feel like more often than not they're in the tournament. They're like a fringe regional team most years.
Yeah, they're always a 4 seed.
Yeah, and they got them in February. Yeah. So
we get them at home. They get West Virginia at home. Then let's see, they go to Stillwater. They get K-State at home. I like this OU team.
Did y'all watch any games when Kyler Murray was on the team here?
Yeah, dude, I was there when he was hitting them over the scoreboard.
Like, dude, smashing bombs left and right. I'm like, all right.
You know what's funny about Kyler Murray is how he gets memed on so hard for being small. When he was at Lupton, he was the biggest dude on the field.
his thighs, bro. I mean, they're tree trunks. He was huge.
He stood out, dude. He looked like a man amongst boys out there. It was crazy. All right.
That was a good preview. Thank you, Garrett. Appreciate that. So let's take a quick break. We're going to talk about
what?
Yeah.
You left us on a cliffhanger.
That was a cliffhanger.
Dude, MK's dead. Okay, this is my shit.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Hell's Half Acre Stadium Goods. Damn, I did it again. Hell's Half Acre Stadium Goods. You can go to hellshalfacresg.com/Lupton Drinking Club. Find all the gear you need. It's basketball season. I know you guys are going out to the Schollmeyer Arena. So go there, suit up, check out their new arrivals. I'm looking at them now. They got some cool Fort Worth cat stuff. So if you're like Martin and you're like a Fort Worth sports historian, go check out some Fort Worth Cats gear they have. That's pretty cool. They have football pullovers.
It's just released a new Emmanuel Miller shirt.
I was just about to say the same. So, yeah, go there. hellshalfacresg.com/Lupton Drinking Club. Every purchase you make, it's the same price, but we get a kickback of that to invest back into the podcast. So help support us, support Steven, and go Frogs.
Am I back?
Now you're back. I didn't want to do the ad read.
I did not. I love Steven. I love Hell's Half Acre, but I needed a break for a second. Ray, we have a team that TCU has battled just about every year now since they joined the Big 12. Texas Tech, the Red Raiders, they have a Cracker Jack box of a stadium, and it's a very interesting matchup every year with Texas Tech. I never know who's gonna take this one. So I'm really curious to find out what their team looks like this year.
I would say it's always interesting when it's in Lubbock.
Okay.
Not so interesting when it's here. Like TCU seems to have their number when they're in Fort Worth, right? Like they swept them Easter weekend 2 years ago.
I guess I have some bad memories from maybe like 5 or 6 years ago when
but,
they're
like whenever we're up there in Lubbock, dude, it's always like 17-12.
Yeah.
They're bat flipping like crazy. Winds blowing 45 miles an hour. But that leads me into my first question with y'all. Where do y'all rank Texas Tech baseball on TCU's rivals list?
Number 1.
Are we talking about after Texas and OU leave?
No,
Because
just even right now.
Or
Presently,
overall,
if
like
you-
it doesn't have to be
Yeah,
the Big 12, right?
overall, like when you think of who TCU's rivals are in baseball,
top 3. I love the fact that their cheerleaders were, throwing trash about like us throwing dirt on. What was it? Like we threw dirt on them or something, or the fans were throwing shit at them like during a game.
I don't know. That crap happens. Like allegations, at least.
I
Happen.
love it. I love it
Yeah,
though.
so that's something along those lines is like a yearly happening with Texas Tech.
I can give you my answer right now, and my answer is Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, DBU.
DBU, I like that.
DBU.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just don't consider like Tex. I'm not a Frog fan from like the 70s. I don't consider Texas a rival in like anything.
UT Pan Am.
Probably below Texas.
yeah, threw a perfect game against them.
But I feel like after you get past the
I hate those guys.
I think UT Rio Grande Valley, as they're currently known.
How many rivals can you actually have? Not everybody
In
can be
baseball?
rival.
Or baseball.
Sure.
Is different,
Yeah, baseball.
Right? Yeah.
I think
I mean, for me, my 3 baseball that I would consider would be the 3 Texas schools: Texas Tech, Texas A&M, and
Okay, A&M. I'm sorry, I forgot about them. That's a good one.
I think
Aggie's
the
a great one,
rivalry
for
with
sure.
Aggie gets heightened even more with Schloss there, and now that Schloss is ducking TCU,
Yeah.
it adds a little extra spice to it.
Hey, what
I
do y'all
changed
think
my
about
answer
what do you
from
all think about
DBU to-
having a rival that we can't play every year because they're in different conferences? Because A&M, it comes up for regionals. Texas is going to be in the same boat now. Like we're not going to play them until postseason.
Yeah, but dude, we had back-to-back super regionals against A&M. Like that's going to matter for a while, if nothing else. We played them in the regional 2 years ago. We've played them at Shriners and whatever else. And Schloss being there, like
You're right, Jackson. Schloss is scared, or he doesn't want the publicity of playing TCU, whether it's a win or loss. He doesn't want to deal with it.
no, I think that's a true answer. But Kirk, we had Kirk on an interview, and he let us know under no uncertain terms that it's not his call that they're not playing again.
Talk to the coach of the other team, right?
You have to look a little south for that answer.
Yeah. But yeah, so Texas Tech is my number 1 rival. Like when I look at the schedule, that's the one I get juiced up for the most.
It is pretty fun. I like the Gauchos. I like their content. I think it's going to be fun to keep playing them every year, especially since
Well, and I feel like their fans care about baseball like ours do.
100%.
Yeah,
And they show up for baseball games and live in freaking Lubbock.
The fans are fun and the games are always wild ass.
Dude, especially when in Lubbock. And you talked about Danlaw Field. I was surprised. Does it surprise you to know that Danlaw Field's capacity is only 4,432?
Is that it?
That is it.
Wait, that's Texas Tech, Dan Law?
That is Texas Tech, one of the biggest universities in the state of Texas, one of the biggest states in America. And they have a tiny little ballpark.
So what did TCU set their record at last year against Indiana State? It was like, what, 6,800, 6,700?
They crossed
No, I
7,000.
thought they got they were well over 7,000.
Yeah.
I
Impressive.
think they hit 7,000 back against A&M.
That's because people were like against the fence and getting pushed into, I watched these guys getting jacked into the fence. They couldn't even see behind the bushes. It was impressive.
MK was looking down from his first base suite at
Shut
all
up.
the commoners.
I don't have good seats.
So here's on that note, average home attendance. Let's see. This says from last year. Yeah. Okay. So this was the 2022 season. So that TCU had an average attendance of 4,111. Texas Tech had an average attendance of 4,015.
Wow.
So they're number 16 and 17.
I mean,
at least for 2022.
We do live in a metroplex. We live in a city. It helps to have folks that are nearby, but that is still surprising, honestly.
Yeah, have you been there, MK? Have you been to Danville?
To the baseball stadium? No, I've been to the football stadium.
Yeah, it looks big because they have so much bleacher seating, but it's really not. And they have no GA like we have.
Okay.
And
that makes sense.
Their amenities are pretty outdated, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a pretty old ballpark.
Except for their baseball facilities, they've done a ton of updates, right?
They have done that, yeah. But their stadium needs more work than like we complain about Lupton, but their stadium needs more work than ours.
Jacob,
does.
not sure you heard this on the Scout interview, but a question was biggest updates of Lupton since you've been there.
Yeah,
he had a hard time kind of answering that. He talked about the grass skirt. We didn't talk about the or the batter's eye in the background and stuff, but I was interested in asking that question because in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, it hasn't been a bunch, my friend.
No, I thought his answer was funny because, being the good company man he is, he tried to make it sound like, man, it's so hard to pick one.
It's so there's just so many. You know what? I wish I had more food.
The food is really good that the players get.
Yeah.
That actually has been a huge upgrade, but yeah, that was funny.
And so, continuing on with Dan Law Field, what's y'all think of Dan Law as like this huge home field advantage for Tech?
Okay, I got a beef on this. Let me tell you my rant on this. It's every time I listen to, I love 11.7. I love D1, but I swear every time they talk about Texas Tech, they're like, boy, you just don't want to go there in the postseason. You're not winning that one. And I'm like, they do all right, but like they lose to Sam Houston State. They lost to Stanford. I mean, they're not like unbeatable. Like,
no,
why do they get the reputation? Because it's so far out there. Like,
what's their record in the postseason the last 5 years? I mean,
dude, I've looked this up. It's like no better than like TCU has a much better home record in the postseason than Tech does.
All right.
But nobody ever. Oh, you don't want to go to Fort Worth in the postseason. Nobody ever says that.
It's because they look at their home win-loss record for the year, right? Like, they're like, oh my God. So I
100%.
went and did some research. I looked back the last 3 years, the 23 season, 22 season, 21 season.
Okay.
Last year, they were 30-7 at home.
Okay.
Right?
Very good.
It's pretty good.
That's
8-4 at home in conference.
Say that again.
They were 8-4 at home in conference.
Who are their losses? And did they lose a series?
They lost to Baylor. They lost to Oklahoma State. They
lost a series to Oklahoma State, right? If I remember right.
No, they had that wild comeback against Oklahoma State. Don't have the series losses.
That's fine. Keep going with your point, though.
In 2022, they were 21-5 at home. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Again, 8-4 in conference. 2021, they were 27-7 at home.
Pretty good.
But only 7-5 at home in conference.
Oh my gosh.
And these last 3 years, they've only swept one team, and that was in 2022 when they swept Kansas State at home. It's always 2 of 3. They're always taking 2 of 3.
I'm intrigued, Ray.
So, Dan Law Field has some kind of a home field advantage, but they also play cupcakes for the most part at home on the first half of the schedule.
Can y'all tell me about the wind? Is that a real issue out there? Like,
hell yeah.
Oh yeah, when it's blowing straight out.
Go watch that Luke Boyers play on that Friday night.
Does it affect the entire stadium, or is it a particular side of the field?
I mean, it affects the baseball.
Just
in general,
going long.
Makes if it's not blowing 400 feet out, it's blowing all kinds of sideways.
Turns that Luke Boyer's double into a shot to center.
So last year they were 41-23 overall in the year, 30-7 at home, like we said. They were only 12-12 in conference. They got swept by Texas on the road. Yeah. That was a big L for your old Red Raiders. But
I want to say though, 12-12, it sounds not like the best, but that's just a couple games away from winning the conference last year.
Oh, for sure.
Like, it was such a cannibalistic season for every team. Like we're talking like 15 wins won the conference.
So Jackson chimed in that Tolley might hit a ball 900 feet in Lubbock. The problem, Jackson, is they're playing here in Fort Worth.
Yeah, he doesn't have the opportunity, but he definitely could.
He could. He might. He could. He just might not this year.
Now, let's go to this schedule this year. They've got a weird schedule. It's pretty wonky. So they open the year with Oklahoma in the Shriners. Well, they'll play Tennessee, Nebraska, and Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some pretty good tests there.
It's like
Nebraska. Yeah. And then they don't leave Lubbock. Go back to Lubbock. They stay in Arlington. They have a Tuesday night against UTA at Globe Life. And then they have a Wednesday night game at Globe Life against Oregon State.
Huh.
That is pretty fun for a Wednesday night,
Dude, it sure is.
February game.
Okay, I have to say, Texas Tech has the best.
That's a noon game, guys.
They have some of the
really?
best midweek games of any team.
Ooh,
that
boy, do they, MK.
pay attention to.
That is foreshadowing. Now, they only have 2 weekend series after that against Gardner Webb and Texas Southern.
Yeah.
Before they get into Big 12 play. And you're like, okay, they're really not playing anyone on the weekend series. But as the Podfather himself mentioned, listen to these midweek games that they have. They have a 2-game set against Arkansas.
What?
In Fayetteville this year.
Are you serious?
They do. And what's crazy about that is
In the middle of the week?
in the middle of the week,
Right after the TCU series.
right after the TCU, they go from Fort Worth to Fayetteville.
Right before Fayetteville. God damn.
I've made that drive. I mean, it's close, but it's not that close.
And
And
they
then they
finish
come
up
back-
in TCU, 2-day break, and you're straight to Fayetteville, baby.
Yeah, and then you come back home, a couple days off, and then West Virginia's there.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's man.
Who's their returning guy? I know we haven't talked about West Virginia, but was it JJ something or
JJ Weatherholt.
there you go.
He's long gone, right?
No,
he's back.
He might be the number 1
That's
overall
right.
pick in the draft
He
next year.
freaking came back. I
He
forgot.
came back.
Shit.
It's our last series. All right, we'll
I
talk
hate
about
that. I hate that so much.
And so, okay, midweek, that's pretty spicy right there, just alone, right? Okay, you go a little before that happens in early April. They have a weekend in Central Florida against the Knights. Then they come home and they play Stanford for 2
Damn.
midweek.
Wow.
RPI is not going to be a problem.
No kidding.
Oh.
So
They'll get a regional no matter what. They could lose every game.
if I remember right from last year, what really hurt them was losing games like to New Mexico and a few
They have
other.
they have a 2-game set against New Mexico.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
love
So-
2 week.
So I love what Tadlock's doing this year because, a big problem for Tech scheduling out of conferences, there's nobody around them. Like we can play UTA and DBU all year long, non-conference, but
For
who
a
the
couple
hell's
of
Texas
years,
Tech play?
for a couple of years, they would play non-conference games against Oklahoma in Amarillo.
Yeah, dude, you have to. So they have to play New Mexico a lot. And when you lose those games, it kind of screws your RPI. So they found themselves on I guess it was a 2-way ticket to Coral Gables, where they got summarily dismissed from the Coral Gables Regional.
And then, let's top it off with the quirkiness of the Tech baseball schedule. So they wrap up Big 12 play May 11th or May 12th, right? Against Oklahoma State. That's in Stillwater. Then they go from Stillwater. I've never seen this before with a schedule. They'll be in Tempe, Arizona that Thursday and Friday, May 16th and 17th. They play Arizona State that Thursday. Then on Friday, they have a double header against UNLV and Arizona State.
This is the weirdest schedule I've ever seen. This is unbelievable.
I've never seen a double header to end the regular season before.
Is this a scheduling like a class thing? Like what's the deal with this?
It's got to be finals related, right? But May 17th, that feels late. Like feels like school's out by then.
Yeah, school's done, and May 12th is their last Big 12 series.
When's the last College World Series they went to? Is it
2019?
Right?
2019.
Oh, yeah,
5 years ago.
Yeah.
Holy
yeah.
moly.
With Tech going to the College World Series, it's almost like they have to play the Super in Lubbock because they've lost their last 2 regionals on the road in Gainesville and Statesboro. They've gone to Omaha 4 times since 2014. They did win a regional in Coral Gables back in 2014. But then, like I said, they lost in 2017. Sam Houston State won the regional. And then they lost a Super in 2019 to Stanford. So if they can play a regional in Lubbock, I mean, they're 4-1 in Super Regionals in Lubbock.
How often does it happen that a team loses a regional playing the same team 3 times in a row?
All right, say your question again.
How often does a team lose a regional playing the same team 3 times in a row? They beat Florida in game 1.
Yeah.
Lost and then lost.
I'm sure it happens. It can happen.
It can happen. It's just I don't remember, a team not seeing either the 3rd or 4th seeds at all in a regional.
I'm trying to think.
They were the 3rd seed because they played Florida first. I don't know.
That's never happened to TCU.
How did they play Florida first? They weren't the 4th seed.
They were the. Oh, I don't think they did, right? I think Florida lost their first game and they played them in the loser bracket.
Oh, okay. Maybe I didn't scroll up. Maybe
that doesn't make sense because Florida would have been eliminated.
Did Tim Tadlock sign a lifetime contract?
I mean,
I don't know what his contract is. He's a tiny little man. That was my one takeaway from the Big 12 tournament whenever coming out of his post-game press conference.
Because you were there?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, they won the first game. That's why.
Small for Ray. That's something.
Yeah, right. So last year they were the 3 seed. They beat Florida, and then they caught them in the losers bracket. Well, no.
How did they play Florida first? Unless Tech's schedule is wrong.
No. Yeah. What the fuck? Because it was a Coral Gables regional.
Great podcasting tonight, guys.
Okay.
Thanks for sticking with
Florida
us.
was the 2 seed.
All the followers.
So if it was Coral Gables, then Florida was the 2 seed.
Oh man,
that's Miami. Audio. That's Miami, right?
Yeah.
That's where I got confused. Miami.
Yeah, because I thought Florida was hosting.
I was thinking Coral. Wait a minute. Hold on. No. This says on Baseball Cube that the regional was in Gainesville.
This audio should push us up to number 1 in the
this is our
podcast in the world.
If you like this confusion, please subscribe. Please subscribe.
Smash that like and subscribe.
Yeah, go ahead and hit that hit button on our Twitter too. We'd appreciate that. We just earned it.
So you mentioned Tim Tadlock. He's entering his 13th year this year. He's got a career record of 420 and 217. He's got 3 Big 12 3 Big 12 championships under his belt and 4 College World Series appearances.
So how does the team look this year?
They lost a lot in terms of graduation and portal.
Yeah, they did get hit by the portal. That's right.
I only wrote down the big names that are gone
Yeah, that's fine.
from either. Nolan Hester,
Yeah.
who was a big bat for them, hit 361, had a 991 ops. He's gone. Hudson White transferred to Arkansas.
Yeah. So they'll get a
Mason-
revenge game there.
Yeah. And Mason Molina
Yeah.
transferred to Arkansas too. Brandon Beckel was drafted last year. He's no longer in the bullpen. And then Ethan Cumbrey, something like that, a 2.75 ERA, 38 strikeouts and 12 walks last year. Now they are returning offensive talent. They've got Kevin Basil, who I believe was manning third base for them last year. He is moving behind the plate to be their catcher, which is interesting. But he's got a bat too. He hit 348 last year, 10 home runs. Of course, everyone knows Gavin Cash,
Mm-hmm.
their slugging first baseman. Hit 326 last year, 26 home runs, had a 1086 ops. In the outfield, they return Owen Washburn and Gage Harrelson.
Yeah.
And I remember Gage being really he was just annoying.
Yeah, he's a good
to
player.
face. Pitchers, they don't have much in terms of pitching that's coming back. Kyle Robinson will probably be their Friday night starter, but he had over a 5 ERA last year. Ryan Free is a good bullpen piece. He's got some talent in the arm. Zane Petty, Jacob Rogers, and Josh Sanders will also be staff contributors.
So I feel like Texas Tech is a team that doesn't rely too heavy on their starting pitching because they usually have a deep bullpen. Like we were talking before the show about Texas Tech pitching, and there's a perception that they don't pitch well. They just mash their way to wins. But I went back and looked at team ERA each year. I think I went back 6 years and I couldn't find a year they weren't at least fourth. Sometimes they were second. And I think they throw a lot of bullpen innings.
They have a lot of bullpen, and they're kind of like DBU in a sense with their bullpen. Every guy throws hard.
Yeah.
They do have guys that will run it in, 94, 95 plus. Back to the offense real quick. They did get a transfer who is a two-way guy, or he was with Gonzaga, Cade McGee.
Okay.
And he should be their starting third baseman this year. He hit 10 home runs, hit 293 with 10 home runs or 6 homers last year. But you think that would go up being, playing the majority of your games at home in Lubbock. That's about it for big transfer class additions. They did have a really good freshman class is coming in. D1 Baseball ranked their freshman class as the 21st overall freshman class.
How does that compare to TCU, Ray?
TCU is not ranked in the top 25 that D1 did.
Maybe 26. We'll say 26.
So receiving votes. TCU was receiving votes. And I don't subscribe to Perfect Game.
Yeah.
I do remember last year.
Name to look for. Go ahead.
I just going to say, I remember last year going into the season, I know they had a lot of young talent. I just thought they were a year or two away from being really competitive. So I don't know. I guess some of those have grown up. I haven't really looked into it this year.
Do you feel like until proven otherwise, they are always a contender?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I do.
Always top 4 in the conference.
100%.
All right. So just to clean up the regional chaos, I don't know what's going on with Tech's calendar. Oh, okay. I missed that. So they played UConn their first game.
Oh, okay.
I missed that. I wasn't scrolled up far enough to see that. So they were the 3 seed. UConn was the 2 seed. Beat UConn. Lost to Florida. No.
Beat UConn, beat Florida.
Okay, hold on. So let me get this just right. This is the last time I'm going to say it. So they were the 3 seed, beat UConn, beat 1 seeded Florida. Where I got confused on number 2 is Florida was the number 2 national seed. Not the region.
Gotcha.
So Texas Tech beat Florida. So they're 2-0 riding high. They lost to Florida to make their record 2-1. Where's their second loss?
Florida. They lost to Florida twice.
Damn, this bracket doesn't say that though.
Well, I know that they did.
So Florida beat UConn. Yeah. Okay. It just doesn't say it on the bracket. Oh, okay. So they lost 7-1 and 6-0. Okay. They had the scores right next to each other. Hey, this wasn't my team to research. I'm doing this on the fly. So
Hey, we've got a comment from Hayden Maxwell. Thanks, Hayden, for jumping in. Your
Yeah,
comments have been
thanks.
appreciated. I think we got some spelling errors, but I'm going to read through them. Klecker and Tolley make this team feel like those Vandy championship squads. How about that?
well, we'll preview TCU
Heck
in a
yeah.
couple weeks, but
Yeah, we've got some previews for the Frogs.
I think he
coming up.
left out Ben Abelt. But yes, Klecker and Tolley are definitely key spots. He also had another comment. Where is it? Yeah.
Florida hosted you, digglings.
Yeah, we fumbled the hell out of that regional recap
Man,
last year,
we
but
fumbled and bumbled and stumbled our
Yeah,
way through the
No one
Gainesville
disagrees
Regional.
that we are digglings. I just want to throw that out. Yeah.
well, we got it right in the end. We took the scenic route to get there, but we got there.
Just real quick on some interesting freshmen that could contribute for this Red Raiders team. Brady Trombello could get some innings on the staff, same as Chandler Coe.
Trombello. That's
Yeah,
a nice
it's
name.
It's a fun name to say.
Yeah, my son's playing the trombone, so he'll like that.
Oh, we can roast him so hard with that.
Brap, brap, brap.
Dude, let's bring trombones to the game.
Please, I'm bringing my son's trombone.
Yes. We can do his walk-up song for him. Dude, we got to make that happen. We got to make that happen.
Or if he walks a guy.
Dude, tell your kid to start practicing. We're going to need him.
He's ready.
All right, so back to baseball.
What else?
And
Ray?
rounding
close
out their
up.
freshman, Davis Rivers is probably going to get some playing time.
Why does he have 2 last names?
I don't know. But guess what he has as a tool?
Another last name.
He doesn't. He's not a Smith.
Does he throw a
Funny.
knuckleball? Does he throw a knuckleball or something stupid?
No, he is a hitter,
Oh, okay.
and
That's
he
more
has
valuable.
raw power, huge raw power that was displayed in the fall. So look for him to be mashing and bat flipping his way around Lubbock. I do have a question. This isn't about current Tech baseball. When you think of their major leaguers, who do you think's the most famous major leaguer to come out of the Texas Tech program?
Holy moly!
Shoot.
Is they, who? What about what's his name on the Rangers?
Is it
Yeah.
Josh Young? I always say Jung.
Yeah.
It's Josh Young.
It's got to be right.
It's got to be
Yeah.
Josh Young, right? Surely.
There
I
has to be
mean-
somebody before him, but I don't. But I don't
Okay.
know who that person
I
is.
can't think of anybody.
Is it Dallas Braden?
Who's that?
Yeah, he threw a perfect game for Oakland, and now he's on Barstool or something.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Could
He's like a
be
media personality now.
Josh Tomlin. He's had a decent career.
Eh.
Nathan Carnes.
That's a good one. Oh, Nathan Carnes went to Tech. I played against him in high school. I didn't know he went to Tech. He was all right.
But other than that, man, they don't have.
Wait, hold up. Nathan Carnes made the major leagues.
Yeah.
Damn.
Is that surprising to you guys that they have such a good team every year, or relatively, right? And they still don't have that power name in the Major League Baseball?
They haven't had
I
like a
mean-
superstar.
I mean, Josh
That's
Young
for
is
sure.
pretty close based on the World Series.
All right.
You know,
So
last
in
year.
that, but to be fair, in that same context, since the Schloss run, who's been TCU's major leaguers?
Oh, Carpenter, Jake Arrieta,
Well, okay. All right. I said Schloss.
Carpenter.
Let's say since the College World Series. All right. So Tech made their first World Series in 2014. That started our run of 4 in a row. So let's just say since 2014.
Yeah.
I mean, Nick Lodolo.
Since 2014. Lodolo,
Yeah,
right?
Lodolo is probably the
Be
most.
up there.
Lodolo and Baker. I guess Taylor Featherston had a swim. It's really hard to think of a lot of guys that.
Would you
So-
say that in 2001, Stubby Clapp was
No.
a perennial major league power?
No, I would not say that.
Is that a name? Stubby Clap?
That is a name.
It's a baseball name, that's for sure. Yeah, right. So I went back to 2015, and Tech is in the top 4 in pitching ERA every single year.
I just don't think of them as a good pitching
Now,
team.
and I don't either, but I also think it has a lot to do with bullpen.
Hey, now MK, they do have on their Wikipedia page other pro Red Raiders baseball and other sports. They list Patrick Mahomes.
Wait, who's that?
Oh, shut up. You definitely know who Patrick Mahomes is.
Wait, hold on. I need a little refresher.
No, you're
He's
lying.
a spare quarterback that's going to get his ass beat this weekend.
MK,
in
you are
Buffalo.
joking. You know who Patrick Mahomes is.
That's the only jersey my son wears at all times. It's in his last 4 pictures for school. We're like, I don't care. Wear whatever the hell you want, man. I'm like,
You do like a time progression.
well, like I don't care if he wears a college shirt. Like wear a Patrick Mahomes jersey. Who cares?
Do they still charge you like $50 for the
Oh
entire
god,
photo?
it's so ridiculous. We just want to take an iPhone picture, like, and charge me 50 cents, but yeah, it's ridiculous.
You know what's annoying about Tech's website and their stat keeping ability is they only go back to 2016 in stats that are available for at least on their website.
That's when Texas Tech started, so I understand it.
He'd already been to Omaha twice by then.
Yeah. I wanted to see what Mahomes did his freshman year.
Did he play
as a
baseball?
relief pitch- Yeah,
I thought he played baseball.
Yeah,
he did.
He
Yeah.
Was a
wasn't good.
reliever.
He wasn't good.
Yeah, I think he definitely did. I think. I know he played in high school.
No, he definitely played. Well, I don't know if he got any playing time because I couldn't see that. Maybe if I went to Baseball Reference or something like that.
He's
it
no
would come
Kyler
up.
Murray. We talked
Out in
about.
Tyler, Texas.
Oh,
White
God, that
Horse?
sounded just like Garrett. You sounded just like those TikToks of the girls saying, "I'm so and so, and I got Texas Christian University. Go Frogs!"
I do not get it. That bit. I don't get
Hey,
it at all.
considering we only had 2 previews tonight because Martin died, this is a pretty good
R.I.P.
show.
Yeah, we still
pretty
went
well.
over an hour somehow.
Yeah, somehow we went over an hour. So next week we have.
Thank the Florida Regional for that.
Oh gosh, we have 4 previews next week. We've got BYU, we've got West Virginia, we've got Texas and Baylor. Martin, I'm going to start you first because Baylor sucks.
Yeah.
But later on this week, special guest Dave Lawn, assistant coach for TCU. We're going to ask him some questions like, does TCU deserve a number 5 ranking and all sorts of stuff. So we hope you guys join us. We want you to join, ask some questions. We'd love to have you here. We appreciate those folks that have joined already. Hayden, you've been in the chat constantly. Thank you. Jackson Day, as always, our guy. Logan Crow, we appreciate you
that's a
being
new
here
name.
as well.
Shout out to Logan.
So thank you for listening. Postgame Beers podcast, especially those live tonight. But we are on YouTube, Lupton Beers on Twitter and Instagram. And it's been a fun night together as friends. Go Frogs.
Go Frogs.
Go Frogs.